Okay guys, good evening once again. So we are going to solve for x in this equation. So I've written an important message here. It says NB, if you see the square root, one value of x is wrong. Like at the end, one value of x is wrong. Always check your answers. Okay, let's go. Start. So we have the square root of 8x plus 6 is equals to the square root of x. Now, to remove the square root, you always square it. This is what I mean. So the square will remove the square root. So what you do on the left hand side, you have to do on the right hand side. Okay, let's go. Now that the square removed the square root, we'll be left with the square root of 8x plus 6. And here, as well as the square removed the square root, so we are left with x. So here we can try and isolate this square in order for us to remove it. So to do that, we are going to say the square root of 8x, and then we transpose this positive 6 to the other side, which will be x minus 6 because it has jumped to the other side, so it changes the sign. Okay, now that the square root is isolated, we can square it to remove the square root. So on the left hand side, we'll be left with 8x being equal to, well, here I like to use the SIM card method. So what you do is you square x, you square it, and then you multiply -6 by x, and then the answer that you get, you multiply it by 2, and then you square the -6. This is what I mean. We say x squared, what is that? That's x squared, and then -6 multiplied by x, that will give you -6x, and then -6x times 2, it's -12x, and then you square the -6, which you will get a positive 36. Now you can move everything to one place, and leave this side as 0. So x squared minus 12x minus 8x, because it was positive, so when it comes to this side, it will be -8 plus 36. Now we are almost there. What you have to do here is to collect your like terms. Let's use x squared minus 12x minus 8x, that will give you minus 20x plus 36. Now over here, what you have to do is to factorize. Let me just bring everything to the the right hand side. Like, let me just x squared minus 20x plus 36. This is absolutely okay. Nothing changes the sign. When both of the expressions changes the sides. Okay, now let's factorize. You open your two brackets, and here it's x, because x multiplied by x, that's x squared. Okay, now you have to listen to me very, very carefully. To find the values in this section and this one. You have to think of the factors of 36, of positive 36, that when you multiply them, they will give you positive 36, but when you add or subtract them, they will give you negative 20. So those factors are negative 2 and negative 18. Because negative 2 multiplied by negative 18, that will give you positive. Negative times negative is positive. So it will give you positive 36. And when you add them, minus 2 minus 18, that will give you minus 20. Now it's this bracket multiplied by this bracket being 0. So you have to say x minus 2 is equals to 0. Or x minus 18 is equal to 0. And then x, you transpose to give you 2. X, you transpose the negative 18 to become positive 18. Now we are not done, ladies and gentlemen. Remember our NB. Remember our NB. One of the value of x is raw. So which one? Which one exactly? So what you're going to do is to substitute to the original equation. So let's start by substituting 2. Okay, now here we can just substitute the 2 to the original equation. That was 8x. Our x, we said it's 2 plus 6 being equal to the square root of x, which is 2. Okay, now let's see that if this equation is true. So that's the square root of 8 multiplied by 2, which is 16 plus 6 being equal to the square root of 2. We are not sure. Okay, the square root of 16, that's 4 plus 6. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, 4 plus 6, which is 10, and yeah, it's not equal to the square root of 2. The square root of 10 is not equal to the square root of 2. Therefore, your x is not equal to, for your final answer. And for the 18, let's substitute that one. So the square root of 8, what's the x? 18 plus 6 being the square root of 18. Okay, let's see if this one is true. So that's the square root of 8 times 18, that is 144 plus 6, which is the square root of 18. What is the square root of 144? It's 12 plus 6 being the square root of 18. And ladies and gentlemen, 12 plus 6 is 18. Therefore, our x is equals to 18. Thank you.